Most leaders don't even realize that morale is beginning to bleed out until it's far too late. Your team isn't disengaged because they're lazy. They're disengaged because something is missing, something you're probably not even seeing. Morale doesn't collapse all at one time. It erodes quietly. And if you don't catch it early, you're going to be left with burned out people and a lot of broken trust. In this video, I'm going to show you how to spot the warning signs, to fix what's broken, and then how to rebuild a team that actually wants to show up and perform. Welcome to the Everyday Diplomat, where we help leaders just like you lead with influence and not just with authority. I'm Michael Forrest, a retired Marine Sergeant Major, former U.S. diplomat, and someone who spent the better part of 20 years leading high-performing teams through crisis, conflict, and constant change. From combat zones to embassy floors to firehouse crews, I've learned that morale isn't just a bonus, it's a battlefield. And if you want to build a team that shows up ready to perform under pressure, you can't afford to treat morale like an afterthought. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how great leaders keep morale and motivation high, even in the middle of stress, setbacks, and uncertainty. Most leaders like to assume that morale is tied to external things, bonuses, perks, time off, maybe even that stereotypical pizza party that doesn't do anything. But that's not what drives real lasting morale. Morale fails for one core reason. It's a lack of psychological acknowledgement. That shows up when people feel unseen, unheard, or unimportant. You'll see it in the little shifts. The team will stop offering new ideas. People will do the job, but the spark is completely gone. Energy in the room feels flat, even when things are going well on paper. You walk around and you stop hearing laughter, or even worse, you stop hearing anything at all. Morale doesn't just collapse, it kind of evaporates. And here's the hard truth. Leaders often cause it without even realizing it. Not by being cruel, but by being incredibly inconsistent, by being absent, by sending mixed signals, or by being too busy managing results to manage those relationships that really matter. Let me be completely clear. I'm not saying that you need to be everybody's best friend. What I'm saying is that if your people don't know where you stand, they're going to start shutting down. Leadership isn't just about what you say in meetings. It's about how you show up every single day. When your team can't predict your mood, your standards, or your reactions, morale is going to drop. Why? Because people can't perform when they're constantly bracing for your response. In one of my earlier assignments as a senior enlisted leader, I walked into a unit where people looked defeated. They weren't lazy, they weren't angry, they were just worn out. They weren't being screamed at, they weren't overworked, they were just constantly being second-guessed, shifted, and surprised, and it really showed. My first move when stepping in wasn't to launch a program or hold a formation. It was to stabilize the tone. The same expectation, same posture, same message, day in and day out. And you know what happened? People exhaled. They started to show up again. They spoke up again. And more importantly, they started to trust each other once again. Because trust is the absolute soil in which morale grows in. If this type of material resonates with you at all, and you know that morale isn't where it should be, then our Foundations course is your next step. It's the exact leadership toolkit I wish I had when I first stepped into a senior leadership position. Inside, I walk you through how to build influence, establish trust, lead through tension, and fix fractured team dynamics without ever relying on rank or authority. Whether you're brand new to leadership or stepping into a higher role, this course gives you a proven framework that works in the real world, not just in theory. Go ahead and enroll today at everydaydiplomat.com. Your team is counting on how you show up, and this course will help you do it with clarity and confidence. So, what separates leaders who build morale from those who accidentally destroy it? It's not charisma, it's not charm. It's not even about how motivational they are. Great leaders do three things differently. They read the room, they pivot based upon what the room needs, and they stay in the trenches when the pressure hits. Let's go ahead and break those three things down. Number one, they read the room. You can't lead what you can't feel. Great leaders develop a kind of leadership radar. They pick up on subtle shifts, energy dropping, participation shrinking, tensions rising, and they go ahead and they act early. This isn't magic, although it might feel to some who are uninitiated. It's really just presence. They walk the space, they listen to tone, they watch body language. They notice who used to speak up and who no longer does. If morale tanks and you didn't see it coming, the problem wasn't just morale, it was your awareness. Great leaders don't need formal surveys to know when something's off. They're dialed in at all times. They don't lead from behind a closed door, they lead from proximity. Number 2, they pivot and then they adjust. Reading the room isn't enough. You have to respond to it. High-performing leaders adapt on the fly. Not with panic, never with panic, but with absolute precision. If the team's morale is beginning to drop, they don't double down on the pressure. They pause, they check in, they give people the space that they need, or they go ahead and bring the energy where it's needed. I've had to do this many times, especially in crisis environments. Sometimes you walk in with one plan, and the faces in the room tell you that's not what they need today. Do you just ignore it? Do you push through it? No, you have to pivot because morale isn't a static thing. It lives, it breathes, and it always shifts. And if you ignore it, you're going to lose your people. Number 3, great leaders empower others to lead. Here's where it gets really personal. I once stepped into a unit where morale was dangerously low. Not because the mission was broken, but because the people were. They'd been micromanaged, second-guessed, their ideas completely dismissed, their authority all but stripped. And over time, those section leaders started to believe that they could no longer lead without asking somebody else. Because that's what happens when people are treated like they're less than. My predecessor had controlled absolutely everything, and in doing so, he crushed all sense of initiative. So I did the complete opposite. I empowered my section leaders. I gave them the space they needed, and more importantly, I trusted them to lead. And I made sure that they had everything that they needed to be successful: clear authority, tools, and public support. If they got it right, I praised them openly at every chance that I got. And if they needed corrections, it was done respectfully and always in private. It didn't take long for them to rise because people don't need permission to be great. They just need the space to show you and to prove it. And morale, it didn't just improve, it came alive. When people are trusted, they carry themselves completely differently. They take ownership and they start leading each other. It's easy to talk about morale when things are going really well. The real test, though, is can you sustain morale when everything around you is collapsing? Great leaders know that in high-stress environments, you don't manage morale with slogans or fancy posters on the wall. You do it with your presence. You stay in the trenches. You shoulder the load. You suffer right alongside your people, not from behind a desk or in the safety of the ivory tower. And let me be completely clear. Staying in the trenches doesn't mean that you're micromanaging or taking over. It doesn't mean hovering or preventing people from doing their jobs. It means that you're visible, you're accessible, engaged. It means that you're showing your team, hey, I'm here with you and I've got your back. It means getting the boots on the ground, not the hands on every single task. If you want your team to push through adversity, they need 2 things from you. They need a strong culture that was built before the stress ever showed up, and they need a clear sense of purpose behind why the mission actually matters. When people understand why the work that they're doing matters, they're going to endure far more than you think. But if they don't, they're going to check out fast, mentally, emotionally, and/or physically. I've seen units succeed in absolute chaos, not because it was easy, but because they had a shared foundation. They knew that their work had absolute meaning, and they knew that their leaders were beside them the whole way. They knew that they wouldn't be abandoned when things got tough, and that's not motivation, that's morale built the right way. If this material is hitting home with you at all, and you want to take your leadership skills to the next level, please go ahead and grab my free guide, 10 Things to Never Say as a Leader. It's full of hard-earned lessons that will help you avoid the unforced errors that kill trust and morale. You can go ahead and download it right now. Just check for the link in the description below. Most leaders treat morale like a fire alarm. It's something they only think about when it's already burning down. But the very best of leaders, they treat morale like a rhythm, something they build into the daily, weekly, and seasonal life of their team. Because morale isn't about hype, it's about energy alignment. Leaders who keep morale high, they build it into the routines. Great leaders don't wait for burnout to show up before they start checking in. They create rituals that reinforce identity, purpose, and pride long before things get hard. Go ahead and think about it. How do you start your team's week? How do you end it? When's the last time that you paused to recognize somebody, not just for their output, but for their attitude on something? I had a tradition in one unit where we'd close out the week by doing something that reminded us of who we were, not just what we did. One of the most memorable examples, we climbed the highest peak in the San Francisco Bay Area, not to chase a quota, but to celebrate one of our sailors who had reached a major career milestone. We didn't post metrics, we didn't hold a formation, we laced up, we climbed together, and then we planted our flag atop. That's what morale looks like in motion. It's not performative, it's not flashy, it's just real. It told that sailor and the entire team that we see you, we're proud of you, and these moments really matter. But here's something that most leaders forget about. Your own rhythm matters as well. You can't lead others well if you never make the space to recover yourself, because when your energy is off, your team is going to feel it. So go ahead and take your Sunday seriously. Not to prepare for the next week, not to panic, but to just reset. Let your team see a leader who protects their own mental space, who reflects and then shows up with fresh energy, not recycled stress from the week before. If you're consistent in how you lead yourself, you're going to be more consistent in how you lead your team. And that consistency is the foundation of lasting morale. If you want to dive deeper into these leadership principles, the real world kind that work in pressure, not just in theory, then go ahead and grab a copy of my book, The Everyday Diplomat. I've packed it with lessons on how to lead with influence, navigate difficult dynamics, and build the type of culture that people really want to be a part of. Whether you're leading Marines, managing civilians, or just trying to build a stronger team, this book is going to give you the tools that really translate. You can find it linked in the description below. Let me tell you something about morale that most leadership manuals will never touch. It's not built in meetings, it's built in little moments. And some of the most powerful moments that you'll ever create as a leader come down to how you recognize your people. I'm not talking about formal awards or career milestones, though those matter as well. I'm talking about the daily recognition, the real specific public appreciation for people doing the right thing. Every single day that I served as a first sergeant and later as a sergeant major, I made it a point to pull people aside in front of their peers and then thank them for something real. Not generic, not scripted, but real. Thanks for keeping calm when everything went sideways the other day. That was a textbook example of great leadership under pressure. Or you looked after your team today in a way that makes the entire unit look better. Thank you for that. And I didn't do it for the show. I did it because I meant it. And because I knew that everybody else in that room needed to see it as well. Recognition creates clarity. When you publicly recognize somebody, you're not just lifting them up. You're showing the entire team what actually matters here. You're reinforcing the behaviors that need to be repeated. You're telling your people that this is who we are, this is what our culture is, and this is what we reward. This is what we value. And here's the deeper truth here. You never really know what somebody's going through. That one sentence of genuine acknowledgement, it might be the thing that keeps them going that day. It might be the only moment they have felt seen that entire day. I don't say any of this lightly. It could literally be the difference between somebody staying in the fight or giving up entirely. But this only works if it's real. Here's the part that most leaders miss entirely. If you have to fake any of this, it's all going to backfire. People can feel forced praise from a mile away, and nothing drains morale faster than performative leadership. If recognizing your people feels like a chore to you, you don't need a checklist. You need a mirror. You need to ask yourself, why did I take this leadership role in the first place? Am I more focused on control than connection? Or do I actually care about the people or just the end product? Because this type of recognition has to be who you are and not just a part of what you do. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Sure, it works if you're in a soft unit, but what about the Marines? What about high stress, hard charging environments? Let me say this plainly. I spent more than 21 years in the Marine Corps, including time as a sergeant major, but I never once pretended to be that cliche. You know the type, the loud, harsh, always correcting other people, never smiling, black and white, no room for gray, quick to show temper, slow to listen. I didn't come from the drill instructor field pipeline. I came from the Air Wing. C-130s were my community. I did my special duty with the Department of State, not the depot. And over 21 years, I've raised my voice perhaps 3 times, and I promise you each one of those were completely well-earned. When I took my first post as first sergeant and later as a sergeant major, I didn't adopt the role that I thought it needed to be. I inhabited it, and I stayed me. People told me numerous times that I come across more like a master gunnery sergeant than that of a sergeant major. Some might take that as an insult, and I took it as one of the highest compliments that I could ever receive. Why? Because it meant that I was calm, rational, grounded, and most of all, I was approachable. And that approachability, that's what unlocked morale. My Marines weren't afraid to be around me. They didn't fake it when I showed up. They didn't give me that stage-ready performance. They gave me the absolute truth. And because I got to see what others didn't, I could lead in ways that most senior leaders never even get the chance to try. I could walk behind the curtains and see what actually needed to be fixed before it actually broke. And that only happened because I never stopped being human. That's what real leadership looks like. If this message has connected with you in any way, if you've ever wished that somebody would have let you lead this way, then do me a favor. Go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support tells the YouTube algorithm that this actually matters, but more importantly, it tells me that it matters. And I'll keep showing up for you just like I did for my Marines, because this work really matters. If you take nothing else from this video, then let it be this one thing. Morale is not a mystery. It's a reflection. It reflects your consistency, your presence, your trust in others, and your willingness to lead from the front with humanity, not with ego. You don't fix morale by giving a pep talk or offering a free pizza. You fix it by showing up, not just physically, but emotionally. You fix it by making sure that your people feel seen, trusted, and valued. You fix it by leading in a way that tells them that I'm here with you, I'm not above you. So here's your challenge for this week. Pick one moment to publicly recognize somebody on your team. Call out something that they did that aligned with yours or your organizational values, and be incredibly specific and be incredibly sincere. Don't wait for permission, because the best leaders don't wait for the right time to build morale. They create it one moment, one decision, one connection at a time. Thanks for spending time with me today. If this helped you, make sure to check out the description for everything that we talked about, including the Foundations course, the Everyday Diplomat book, and your free guide, 10 Things to Never Say as a Leader. Lead well, and I'll see you in the next one.